Hello everybody, welcome to another video. My name is Infiniti and today I'm back with another Continental knitting stitch tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to knit the cascading cable, which just so happens to be a prominent feature of one of my recent pattern releases, the Sweetheart Scarf. And you know, it's February, so I figured why not. This cascading cable looks incredibly complicated, but I promise you it is not. And I absolutely fell in love with it during the design process of this scarf, so that's why I'm here with it today. Today I'll be working in a 4-weight yarn, but if you do want to support the channel and make this scarf, it only took me 3 days, and the pattern is available to my members under Hey Craftapreneur, and I am currently working on posting the PDF pattern in the shop. Alright, without further ado, this video is brought to you by my supporters over at Hey Craftapreneur. Hey Craftapreneur is my monthly pattern club, which includes my knitting, crochet, and centro knitting machine designs. Each month, members are given access to at least 2 of these designs, as they are either added to the library or updated, and they will have continual access to my entire written/video pattern library for as long as they are members. Membership also gives you the title of Super Crafty, because that's what you are. Members are also given complimentary access to most of my crochet or knitting courses that are published on the website. For example, I recently published a step-by-step crochet course which will walk you through all the terminology, discussions about gauge, and the actual mechanics of the craft. It is a self-paced course that is usually purchased individually, but because you are monthly or quarterly supporters, you get access to it totally free as long as you're signed up for the club. The support I get from Hey Craftapreneur allows me to continue to operate this channel and publish the tutorial content that you've come to know and love. So, if you want to support me and make cool stuff, as I'm sure you've seen under the community tab here, then consider heading over and signing up today after the end of this tutorial. Alright, let's dive into the instruction. To start this stitch, you want to cast on in multiples of 14. Some people will add an additional 2. You can add however many stitches that you want. Just keep in mind that those will be stitches for your background. So those stitches are typically worked in opposite of what the cabling is made out of, so the cable pops more. Alright, so I think the original pattern for this was cast on in multiples of 14 and then add an additional 2 for an edge stitch here. Here I have cast on 14 and I've added an additional 2 for some edge stitching here. Alright, and so what I'm going to do is purl the first 2 stitches. Okay, and then I'm going to knit the next 4 stitches, and this is the right side of our work, so if you want to place a stitch marker on this side you can, but it will become evident pretty soon which side you're working on. 2, 3, and 4. Alright, after we knit our 4, we're going to jump right into cabling. So I'm going to pick up my favorite cable needle here, and we are going to do what is called a right cross cable. So to do a right cross cable, we're simply going to scoop these first 2 stitches on our left needle off and onto the cable needle, and we are going to drop the cable needle to the back of our work. Okay, and here you can kind of see why people will knit a couple of rows before they get into this pattern, but I digress. Alright, we're going to knit the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and then we're going to pull that cable needle back up to work those 2 stitches that we skipped. And don't worry if it feels a little tight, that is just the nature of cables. So, don't worry about it too much. Pro tip though, you can actually use a bigger needle size if you think that your tension is too tight. Alright, now that we have done our right cross cable, we're going to do a left cross cable across the next 4 stitches. So again, we're going to loop these first 2 stitches off onto our cable needle, But this time we are going to drop those stitches to the front, and we are going to knit the next two as normal. 1, 2. Okay, and now we are going to go ahead and work those stitches off of our cable needle. Oops. And 2. Alright, and now to finish the row we will purl the last 2 stitches. Now of course if you cast on more you would simply repeat from the knit 4 until this point, until you got to the end of your row, and you would end on a purl 2. Alright, and this is row 1. For row 2 and all of our even rows, we are going to start off with a knit 2. 1, 2. Okay, and then we are going to purl 12. So we're going to bring the yarn to the front and purl across the next 12 stitches. And 12, and then we are going to knit the last 2. So basically we're doing the opposite of whatever we're doing on our odd rows or the right side of the work. Okay, and that's what the back of the work looks like so far. On to row 3 on our work here. Alright, for row 3 we're going to bring our yarn to the front and we're going to purl 2. 1, and 2. Okay, and then we're going to start our repeat. We're going to knit 2. 1, 2. Okay, after we knit 2, we are then going to do a right cross cable. So we're going to bring back our cable needle and lop off those first 2 knit stitches. Slide them clean off the needle. And drop it to the back of the work. And we're going to knit the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. Okay, and now we're going to go back and knit those 2 stitches off of our cable needle. Alright, and now that we have done that, we are going to go ahead and knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and bring my yarn forward and we are going to purl 2. 1 and 2. And this is the end of my row here, and what that's starting to look like for me. If you have a wider piece of fabric, you would start again from the knit 2 portion of this row. Okay, now we're going to turn our work, and we are going to again do the opposite of what we did on the other side. So I'm going to start this off with a knit 2, 1 and 2. Now we're going to bring the yarn forward, and we are going to purl 12. And now I'm going to knit the final 2 stitches of my row. So again, the back side of the work and the front side of the work are very obvious. You don't have to place a stitch marker there, but if you're going to do something more complicated, like design a scarf with it, then I would recommend sticking a stitch marker on the front side of your work if you're going to complicate the elements of your fabric. Alright, now we're on to row 5. For row 5, we're going to bring the yarn forward, and we're going to purl 2. And we're going to dive into our repeat. So knit forward, purl, there's 2. Alright, now to start our repeat, what we're going to do is we are going to jump immediately into a right cross cable. So I'm going to come over here and scoop up these first 2 stitches and drop them to the back, which, as you can see, gets a lot less fiddly as you start to build up the fabric, and thankfully this stitch works up pretty fast. Okay, knit those first 2, go back and knit the ones off of the cable needle. Alright, and now what we want to do is come back and do a left cross cable. So don't quite discard your cable needle yet. Just throw mine around out of habit. But we're going to scoop off these first 2 stitches carefully. Drop them to the front, and we're going to knit the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. Come back and knit the ones off the cable needle. Boop. Alright, now we can knit 4. So come in and and 4. Alright, now I'm going to bring the yarn forward, and we are going to purl 2. Okay, that is very cute, but this is the end of my row 5. Okay, I'm going to work our even row here. Alright, and now we can move on to row 7. Okay, for row 7 we're going to purl the first 2 stitches, and then we're going to jump into our repeat. our repeat is we are going to knit the first 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and now that we have knit our 6, what we're going to do is do a left cross cable. So we're going to scoop these first 2 stitches off of here, drop them to the front, and knit the next 2 stitches. Alright, now we are going to go back and knit the 2 stitches that are on our cable needle here. Just kind of, I usually drop my left hand needle when I do this, if you haven't noticed, just because I'm pretty confident with my tension here, but if your tension is loose, you might not want to do that. Alright, let's go ahead and knit those off. Okay, and now we are going to go ahead and knit the next 2 stitches. One and 2. Okay, and now we are going to purl the next 2 stitches. Okay, and this is row 7, which is technically the end of our repeat, and I, in order to move on, repeat the even row repeat. So I would turn my work and I would knit these first 2, purl 12, knit the last 2. And you can see what the cable is supposed to look like from the end of row 7, but if you want a better picture of that, you would repeat rows 1 through 7 over and over and over again until you reach your desired length of your project. I will be working up another repetition of that so you can see what it looks like with this yarn, because I'm also curious. 4, 6, and 7, 8, 9. Oops. Alright. And that's what that is starting to look like. Okay, like I said, I'm going to work up another repetition or so that this becomes more pronounced and we can see what this looks like in a 4-weight yarn. Alright, and so here I am. I worked up another repetition of this stitch pattern, and this is what the cable starts to look like. Now, I have to say, this is okay in a 4-weight yarn, but I definitely prefer this cable in a chunky yarn like my scarf here. To me, it just makes it seem like so much more, right? So here's like the side-by-side comparison of this. Here, let me get that focused for you. See what I'm saying? But either way, this is a very stunning, simple 8-row cable that can be used on a variety of projects, and it can make them look, again, vintage, very stunning, like you put a bunch of effort into it. And you know, again, relatively easy. So yeah, this scarf pattern is available on my website under the membership section. I can't tell you exactly when that PDF will hit the handmade shop. Hopefully by the time most people are seeing this, I'll have it up and we'll have it linked in the top comment down below. But otherwise, you can find all of my membership info in the description box below. I hope this video was helpful for you today. If so, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, like the video so YouTube knows that my tutorials are worthy. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on my weekly knitting content. I typically post these types of tutorials on Wednesdays at 9:30 a.m. CST, and I am, of course, a Continental knitter, so that's kind of the only thing that I do here. So if that's your deal, welcome aboard. Feel free to join in on Wednesdays. Alright, thanks for watching, and until next time, happy making!